So what is up guys, Nick here helping you to master your technology. OnePlus 15 versus OnePlus 13 speed test. Let's go ahead and begin this video with a boot up in 3, 2, go. And the reason I'm making this video is because multiple people have been saying the OnePlus 13 was better and things of that sort. So I want to see how much better the OnePlus 15 actually is in performance. I can tell you the OnePlus 13 definitely probably feels a little bit more special in terms of the design. It's just a little bit more unique, but the 15 is a very clean design as well. And it looked like the OnePlus 13 did actually boot up first. We are looking at 16 gigabytes of RAM on both of them, but let's take a closer look at the biometrics and see what we're working with here. All right guys, so let's go ahead and do the face unlocks now and see what we can get here for both of them. And as you look at them, both of them go right in, no problem. And with Oxygen OS 16, they are definitely giving us a very smooth and visually pleasing effect when launching into the devices. Let's take a look at the in-display fingerprint sensors. Both of them are, actually I have to turn this one around because I didn't set up on the left. Let's go ahead and do this here in 3, 2, go. And you can see there's no real difference there. You can also change the way the animation looks and settings on both of them. And again, both ultrasonic, so that doesn't change too much either. The real difference is kind of like how they feel on the edges, the sides, the height, the width, the overall look. I do really like when phones look different year over year, but it definitely makes some people really be like, man, I really missed the last design. But it is nice to see that they did change it up quite a bit over here. Let's go ahead and take this over to settings, and we're going to take a look at the specs really quickly here for this one. So we'll go down here to About Device. And you'll see we're rocking that Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 mobile platform. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up over here on the OnePlus 13. And as I go over here into the OnePlus 13, that's rocking that Snapdragon 8 Elite. That does have a 7300 milliamp hour silicon carbon battery. This one also silicon carbon, but a 6000. So big upgrade battery wise, but you can see that same RAM. So the same exact RAM, both the same software. So let's see if they make a big difference. Okay, so when just kind of scrolling through the UI, OnePlus is definitely focused more on a visually pleasing look, really smooth animations. As a matter of fact, probably the best I've seen on any phone to date. And it doesn't really look that much different over there on the 165 Hertz display too much, just on the home screen. But I actually have been finding that it does seem to go just a little bit faster than the OnePlus 13. The OnePlus 13 was already one of the fastest phones of the year, but the 15 has just taken up a notch with the 165 Hertz and the newer CPU. But I think for day-to-day usage, I don't think the average OnePlus user is going to really notice a substantial difference in that department. But definitely, they're just like, if this was already really good, this has just perfected what this already was in terms of that performance of just kind of like generally the animations, the speed of things. They've gotten even better here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the app speed now. All right, guys, so everything is closed out for both phones. Let's go ahead and begin with the calendar launch, and you could see basically the same. We'll swipe up out of there. We'll go into clock. Exactly the same. We'll go over here into world clock, stopwatch, timer, and as we pop through, they look about the same. We'll go into calculator. I think that was the OnePlus 15. We'll go into Play Store, and that was slightly to the OnePlus 15. Let's take games here, top charts, Block Blast. And you could see as we go down, we'll just click another link. Even swiping through, yeah, a little bit faster. You can see as I'm popping through them a little bit quicker. That OnePlus 15, just a little bit more responsive, but there's not that much in it. You can see it's only a year-over-year upgrade. It hasn't even been a full year. Let's go into Gemini, and we'll swipe up out of there. Also, I will state that the Oxygen OS 16 has made the OnePlus 13 even more smooth. We'll go over here to Copilot. That was a little bit better performance on the left. We'll go into X, and I'll go over here to Profile. That's a little faster to load there on the left. We'll go into Instagram, and that was faster on the left. As I scroll down, let's go ahead and see no major changes. We'll take a look at the iPhone Air here, zooming in about the same. Again, pulling over there, about the same overall. Let's swipe up out of there. We'll go into Groupon. Both pop that up at the same time. And let me go ahead and continue as guest. We'll hit categories here. We'll swipe down. You can see scrolling. I can see a little bit of smoother look there on the left, but it's kind of hard to see in video. And you'll see, I think if you have the 13, you probably don't need the upgrade whatsoever. But if you're coming from anything older, I think the 15 is a very, very sweet option. We'll swipe up out of over here. And then we're going to go into Subway Surfers. And you can see that loads first on the left. So this is the area where the OnePlus 15 would be a good upgrade. If you do a lot of gaming, for sure, because it has a 165 hertz. And there are some games that actually support that. So you'll get that frames per second improvement in certain games, including things like Call of Duty. Let's go into Free Fire. And I got a little bit of dust on here. Let me wipe that down just a little bit. And that's seeming to load there first on the OnePlus 13. So OnePlus 13 is going to take that. But again, it doesn't mean that the game's going to look smoother because it doesn't have the smoother display. All right, guys, so let's go into Call of Duty. And both of them do have the gaming core, the OnePlus gaming core over here. So you'll be able to pull these things over and do a bunch of tweaks without leaving the application. So I do really enjoy this for a flagship phone for gaming, just because it has a little bit more fine-tuned control. But the real difference is just simply going to be in the frames per second. Also, both of them do pretty good with the cooling, and they do sustain their performance very well. If you want a little bit more, you're of course going to say the 15 is going to be the better option here. But this phone's been out longer, so maybe some games might still be a little bit better optimized at this current time. But still, the 15, it really is pushing. It's pushing on like, do you even need that much performance? But that's not a bad thing if you're paying the price you're paying for some of these phones. But it does look like PUBG was first there on the 13, and that's just simply like what I was saying. I believe that it's been out longer, so it's probably better optimized for some of the older ones. That's not an excuse. The OnePlus 13 took that. So if you think I'm saying that to try to give it an excuse as to why the 15 lost, no, I'm just saying that this usually typically happens when a phone is very new. As a matter of fact, the OnePlus is still not available just yet in the US due to the government shutdown that was recently lifted. We do have to wait a little bit to see when that is going to be coming available. But you can see Destiny Rising going to play very well on both of these. And this one didn't let me get in because I was logged in over here. But you're not going to have any real issues. No matter what you're doing, no real issues with these, with even these more graphically demanding games. But I could already see, I don't think the camera's going to pick this up, but I can see just how this looks smoother just due to that 165 hertz in a game like that. Let's go to 3D Mark here. About the same. Speed test. That's going to be the OnePlus 15. About the same there. And Geekbench 6. About the same there. So launching all the applications, the games look a little bit smoother. The submenus are kind of the same. The scrolling does look a little bit slower now that it is 120 hertz versus 165 hertz. But for the day-to-day use, I feel like you would only notice that the OnePlus 15 just feels a little bit smoother and a little bit fresher if you did upgrade from a 13. But in terms of just launching apps, you're not going to feel much in it in that area of the phone. You might not even feel much in it in the area of gaming as well, except for it looks a little bit smoother to use. Let's take a look at the RAM management now, because this is where the 15 has really been impressing. All right, so when I go through the applications, you can see that the OnePlus 15 just super good at this area, holds everything beautifully, doesn't really relaunch anything, and it kind of already has the next app ready. Gemini always chokes up any phone though. I don't know what that is, but besides that, every single application, we're going to skip Gemini, but you can see this thing, it's just like butter. Let's go ahead and see if the OnePlus 13 can match that. And I think it can do very similar. It does have a lot of similar optimizations, and you can see it is also very nice. 16 gigs of RAM allows this phone to still feel very nice, even at this time. I did notice a little bit of choppiness there coming out of X. Gemini still doing what it does. Let's go over here to calculator. Calendar reloads. It is a cloud base, but you can see we'll skip Gemini again. Not a substantial difference. Again, I did notice on Groupon a little bit slower than on the OnePlus 15. But this is so micro. It's so micro. It's so small that these little minor jitters, they just happen sometimes on the OnePlus 13, which they don't happen on the OnePlus 15. So the 15 has cleaned up any little micro issue you might have had on the 13, but it's so small it's very, very negligible. And that's why I could see why they're still selling the OnePlus 13. It's still a phenomenal device. Did amazingly well there in the RAM management department. And our final scores are in, and the OnePlus 15 has a noticeable increase on the single but more noticeably on the multi-core. These scores actually look more in line with like a S25 Ultra on the OnePlus 13. So this is definitely the 2026 scores are closer to what we're going to see next year. And you could see where it's really going to shine is mostly in that single core. And that's probably why you are in a multi-core. That's probably why you didn't see too much in the app test. But that's a sizable jump. Again, not enough, I think, for a OnePlus 13 user to probably be super excited to upgrade. But definitely, it's enough if you did want to upgrade. It's enough still of a boost. But it doesn't mean it's necessary. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 3D Mark here. And we're going to go ahead and run a Wildlife Extreme here. And we're just going to see what we're capable of getting in the graphics department, the frame rates, and I'll be back when they're done. And this one was even closer here. Just a 4 FPS difference and a 700 point difference on the frame rate. So if you scroll down, this is scoring better than 98% of devices on the market. This is better than 96. So the OnePlus 13, which is from last year's model, is actually still faster than a lot of the current flagships. So OnePlus was already ahead of the competition when it comes to performance. The 15 is just further extending that lead. Again, eventually I'm probably going to do this versus my iPad Pro M4 just to see how close this performs to one of those powerful M series chips, because this thing is ridiculous how good this is performing. It might actually be overkill for a phone, but you can never say that when you're paying $1,000 though for a device. So I'm pretty happy. I think I just said pretty twice. I'm happy with this upgrade in terms of the overall performance. Even if it's not too much over the 13, it's really good for users coming from older devices. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Wi-Fi speed test now. So we'll start over here with the OnePlus 15 and we'll see what we can pull in over there. And I'll make sure that this one's on the same server while that's doing its test. So let me go ahead and see. We're getting about 550 down. And you can see 41, 42 or so on the upload. And not too bad. Actually, I've been finding the OnePlus 15 to have some of the best network performance that I've seen. So let's go over here and you'll see that this one is a little bit behind, but now pulling ahead. Okay. All right, OnePlus 13. So the OnePlus 13 did a better job in this initial download. Again, these are network dependent. They are router dependent. They depend on what kind of performance you're paying for from your carrier or provider. So this could change depending on what phone you have. But you can see generally these phones can pull in similar Wi-Fi performance, and both of them do a pretty solid job with 5G. Of course, always check the bands before buying a device. Make sure you are supported, but definitely not too much in the way of difference in the speed of Wi-Fi performance here. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and launch the cameras really quickly to see which one can do that a little bit faster. In 3, 2, go. And you can see that that was the OnePlus 15, but it looked like the 13 at first, but then it was loading up the lens or whatever, doing that macro thing. Definitely the 15 there, and both of them do tend to launch pretty quickly as well. They do have quick shutter speed. Of course, people are going to have their opinions on which is better. They did have the Hasselblad collaboration before on the 13 and some think this is the better option. OnePlus has showed sample differences and we've seen claims that this is the better. And some people are claiming that they've seen different samples and that the OnePlus 15 is actually looks better due to computational detail max engine on here. At the end of the day, I don't really think either of these phones are the top picks for pure camera, but both of them do a really solid job nonetheless. These are really, to me, the performance beasts in the market that are definitely under the price of your typical run-of-the-mill Apple or Samsung devices. So they're, to me, the never settle branding kind of makes sense with these phones. But wrapping it up, the OnePlus 15 is more of an upgrade to me in mostly the 165 hertz in gaming. The design is subjective. You might think this is a better design overall. That could be an upgrade for you, but really it comes down to the 165 hertz and the battery in here. It's a big upgrade in that longevity. Although the 6,000 in the OnePlus 13 was already beating a lot of these 5,000 milliamp hour phones in battery, but not by as substantial as a margin as this year. But you can really see the smooth factor with those games that support the 165 hertz. So that's what I would do the upgrade for. For the 13, if you want to get it now or get it on a sale, this is a great deal still as well. I'll leave a link down below. But this still is a very solid performer. It's nowhere near behind. It was definitely on the innovative edge of, specs when it came out. And it still does a fantastic job, doing better than 96% of devices on the market. So OnePlus 13, it's aging very well in terms of performance. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And let me know any more speed tests, comparisons, and things you would like to see down below in the comments. I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well. And peace.